Is it safe for women to travel alone? And how do you determine if a location is safe for you to be there as a solo traveler? Well, we'll dive into those questions in today's episode. Welcome to Solo Travel Adventures for women 50 and older. I'm Cheryl Esch, your host, solo travel advocate, freedom traveler, and coach. This is your passport to adventure. Safety can be a concern for women traveling alone, especially if you are embarking on your very first solo trip. It can kind of just heighten sort of your anxiety possibly, especially if you've never done a solo trip before. But I think a lot of questions that I get, a lot of women will pose a question, sometimes in a group, asking other people specifically how they feel about the safety of a specific country or city that they also might be traveling to. And I want to address some of these questions that I said in the beginning, but also to give you a context of how to gauge a place of its safety or not. First of all, what you consider safe may be different from somebody else. So that's a main thing to be considerate of. And a seasoned traveler might feel more comfortable in certain situations that might be deemed unsafe by someone who is new to travel. So keep that in mind as you look into places that you're looking to travel and asking other people about whether they feel the place is safe enough for a solo woman traveler. In general, I wouldn't have this podcast if I didn't believe that it was a good idea for women to travel solo. But there are places on my list, even though I have traveled quite extensively, that I don't deem safe for me personally. And I will probably never visit these specific places because I don't deem them as safe for me. But everybody's experience is different. For example, you could ask 10 women who have gone to, let's say Barcelona, Spain, and 9 out of the 10 say yes, they loved it, they felt safe, whereas that 10th person might say no, but you have to ask why they said no. Maybe they had a really bad experience and they got pickpocketed, or they some reason got harassed while they were there. So that could taint what they felt was safe of that city. And so you have to base sort of the safety thing on, when you hear answers from people, what was their experience, and finding out why. But I think number one thing you need to do personally as a solo traveler is you need to determine, what do you deem as safe for you? And everybody's going to be different. Maybe you feel safer because of your background, your experience, or where you've grown up. Maybe you feel safer in a big city, whereas someone else might feel safer in a smaller town or a more rural area. And everybody's going to have different experiences because of their past to sort of mold what they deem as safe. They also may have had a bad experience. So for them, safety is super important. And they have some higher standards of what they would deem safe versus someone else that maybe has not had those past experiences. So you have to keep in mind, ask yourself, what would make me feel safe when I traveled alone? Is it the environment that I need to have a certain way? Is it I need to be with a tour group maybe to feel safe? Do I need to carry something to make me feel safe? Maybe a whistle, for example. So ask yourself those questions and write down and find out, what is it that would make you feel safe in a certain environment? Do you want to be in a hotel centralized as where you stay so that you feel safer? Because maybe for you, being alone in a cabin doesn't feel safe to you. So there's going to be different perspectives. And so you need to determine, what is it in general that makes you personally feel safe in environments. And then as you do your research of places that you're going, And I do recommend always do research. Read people's blogs maybe about that place, ask questions in maybe certain Facebook groups that are maybe specific to that area, and find out from other women travelers, because it will be different for men, right? And I would also target solo travelers, because being alone when you travel is obviously very different than if you were traveling with a group of people. We all will naturally feel safer with a group of people. So maybe even as a solo traveler and you have some fears and some legitimate anxiety about traveling solo, you may be best to try your first solo trip in a tour group. Even though you will be solo, you will be surrounded with other people. You will have a guide and you will feel more comfortable and probably safer in that environment. So keep in mind, what do you consider safe? 2, do your research on that place. Ask questions, but don't just ask, hey, do you feel like such and such a place is safe for solo female travelers? Ask them why. Find out why they said yes or no, so that you can have a better understanding and almost maybe even visualize that place and feel what it might feel like to be there before you get there. And it's hard to determine really what a place is like and how it's going to feel until you get there. And please know that if you find yourself in a place, you've picked a place to travel and it becomes unsafe for you, or you don't feel safe, don't feel like you have to stay. We do have the ability. It may cost you some money, yes, and it's disappointing, yes, but know that you're in control of choosing your destiny. And if that place didn't work for you, then you have the easy, maybe you just take a bus ride somewhere or a taxi somewhere else to see if that next town over is something that, delights your heart and makes you feel more comfortable. I have another example. I've been to New York City several times, and many people, I am a U.S. citizen, and many people would deem New York City an unsafe city. But for me, yes, there are parts that are unsafe, but I have also found myself by accident in Harlem. No harm, no foul. It was perfectly fine. And I've been to many areas in the 5 boroughs of New York City, and I have not had any issues. Would I go to some places at night? Probably not, but I know that about the city a little bit. So everybody's going to have a different perspective. There may be someone from another country that wants to go to New York City, but maybe they're fearful because, New York City is potentially deemed maybe not a safe place for solo female travelers. So keep that in mind for yourself and gear your travels based on what you feel is kind of keeping you in that safety bubble for yourself. And everything's going to be different for everybody. Otherwise, I truly believe that solo travel for females is safe as long as you keep your safety desires, or what your needs are for your safety to feel comfortable, in mind when you're booking your travel. Do some research on what that place is like. Ask people that have been there, and then go and be open to that experience. Obviously, I always suggest being aware of your surroundings is going to be one of your biggest tools that you have to make you feel safe in a certain place. So keep that in mind. Be aware of your surroundings. Use your intuition. And if you feel safer, like I said earlier, maybe carrying one of those she whistles, then yes, bring that with you so that you feel more safe and more secure in your surroundings. Please do not let fear hold you back from solo travel, women. It is a freeing experience. It's a life-changing experience. Many people have said that. It gets you out of your box and your bubble, and it will open up your eyes and your mind and your heart to so many new things. So please don't let fear hold you back from doing any kind of solo travel. But keep in mind, there are places, like I have places on my list. You probably will create a list of your own of places that you likely will never feel safe or would never want to go to anyways. And so go places that you know you're going to feel safe and you're going to enjoy the experience, because I want you to have a positive solo trip. I don't want you to get a bad taste in your mouth just because something unfortunate happened during a trip. So go with the flow, get out there and have that adventure. Hey, sister travelers, did this podcast inspire and encourage you or move you to get out there and travel? Wonderful. There are 3 ways you can thank me. First one is leave a written review for the show on Apple Podcast. 2, share the show with your sister travelers, your friends, your family. And 3, subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. And thank you again for listening to the show. Sisters, be fearless, take the leap, and get out there and have an adventure.